All right, so let's talk LEC, bro. Let's talk LEC because it's the same thing that always happens where the knockout stage gets drawn. There's people that are upset from EU because people are living in the glory days of when LEC used to be competitive with the LCK and LPL. In the last 5 years, LEC has had a win rate of less than 9% in BO3s and BO5s. And I mean, it was literally just worse than that. They had that one series against top esports. So, I mean, if we do 5 years from or we do like last 4 years, because I think 2020 was actually the last year where the G2 lineup was together, right? Like that was the last lineup with Caps, Perks, everyone, right? And starting in 2021, when Perks went to the LCS, that's like where I feel like the LEC was no longer a strong region. A lot of that comes down to multiple factors, but I think that the factor that people aren't talking about enough is like the amount of resistance that is faced. Like what I hate about LEC when I watch is so many teams, including teams like Fnatic, including teams like BDS, including teams like Esk, like these teams that should be good in the region. When things go wrong versus a team like G2, they just soft FF. They literally just soft FF the game, and they no longer put up the resistance that you'll face versus the better teams. Because if you think about G2, right, and you think about the games that they played, we have G2 playing against BLG, we had them playing against Hanwha Life, we had them play against Weibo. Think about the amount of resistance that G2 faces when they get leads. They had leads in all of these games. They got leads versus Hanwha Life. They got like multiple Barons versus Hanwha Life, I believe. They were able to, like play against BLG with multiple winning situations where they have like 4-person kill team fights where they have these advantages. And it feels like in the LEC, as soon as G2 like breaks through and they start winning the game, other teams just like give up. If you watch the catastrophe of like the Fnatic summer finals, or you watch season finals versus BDS, like think about the game 5 of BDS versus G2. Think about the game that G2 played versus like even Weibo, and compare both of those games in your mind. Even though Weibo's in a really bad spot and it's very hard for them to play, they actually still play the game properly. They still play in a way to try to give themselves the best chance to win. And because of that, it's like G2 is like, damn, like we have a lead, but it's kind of like hard to find the fight. They're avoiding us well, whatever. That is like the opposite of how LEC teams play. LEC teams feel like they are so comfortable just losing to G2. Feels like that is just acceptable in this league. And because G2 doesn't face against this amount of resistance, you see that when they play against Hanwha Life, when they play against T1, when they play against BLG, in all these moments where they have leads, there's always mistakes. There's always, oh, can we push for this turret or not? Because normally in the LEC, if they just, push for a turret that they're not able to when they're stronger, enemy team won't fight. They won't pull the TP behind. They won't actually try to punish you for these inaccuracies in your gameplay. So for me, I feel like this is the part that stresses me out about the LEC, or like bothers me about the LEC, I should say. Because you think about G2, and I don't think like G2's loss is on G2 as much as it is an indictment on the rest of the LEC. Like the rest of the LEC just doesn't give them proper practice. I think the team that at least had some level of resistance into G2 was Mad Lions. They were one of the teams that actually felt like they played their best and they just weren't able to beat G2. But when you think about BDS, when you think about Fnatic, who should be the second and best third teams in the region, they should be the teams constantly contesting G2. They look so comfortable losing. They look like they've just been beaten into submission. And I just don't see that from Asian regions. If you look at like even the bad teams in the LCK, you look at Nongshim, for example, even once they're eliminated, Nongshim will still play. They are still trying to beat you, even if they suck, even if it's like over for them. Those teams are trying to become the best versions of themselves, even post elimination, because they have some level of grit, they have some level of pride in what they're doing, and I just don't see that same situation in the LEC. And that is probably like the most concerning thing, because it feels like there's so many people, and there was the Whipple comments where he's like, there's so many paycheck stealers. I think that like obviously paycheck stealing, it's obviously a super negative term. People are gonna instantly recoil when they hear, oh, there's paycheck stealers in the LEC. There's just so many people that are okay losing. I don't think it's FF versus G2 mentality, but much rather a complete inability to play from behind, and it comes from practice. I mean, bro, like when I'm thinking about games that I'm watching, right? When I'm thinking about games, if we are actually so dog shit, Fnatic versus G2 game 3, if we are actually so fucking dog shit at this point, where we think that like,
buried under the
where
weight.
is it? Summer finals, boom, game 3. If we can't, like, if we think that these are the highest percentage plays when things start going wrong, I don't even know what to say. Like even look, okay, so compare this to when G2 had a similar situation. When they had a similar situation versus BLG, when BLG 3v5 contests. It's like I see so many plays like this. Okay, enemy team is going to try to do Baron. They're like 9k behind. They're 8k gold behind. And instead of like contesting together, like having Oscar walk in front, like they don't even play the situation at all in any reasonable fashion. They don't play it like, oh, we have a Renekton with 2.5 items, almost 3 items. He's going to walk in front. If they start Baron, he walks in front. And then we have like Razor dealing damage behind him with his ulti, whatever, or with his spells, like a lot of AoE brand damage. You know, Lucian's behind him. They play it in a 3v5 where they have some type of formation, or Razor's behind, and like the Renekton, who's in almost unkillable in a way, ends up playing like in the front. Like, look at how they play the situation. It's that, bro. Like, you realize that if they actually play with the Renekton that has flash, Razor has flash, Humanoid has flash, like this 3v5 is outplayable. I think you'll never see this in LPL. From top teams in LPL and LCK, you'll never see somebody do this. It would be like, what the are you doing? Like, why are you actually taking this fight like this? And when I see these types of plays, it just seems so like lazy. It just seems so like incompetent. You're telling me that you can't take any reasonable 3v5, even though Noah is strong. Like, yeah, Noah is really strong. I get it. Your Renekton is up 5k gold. Like, they don't have a very easy way to do this Baron. Sure, they have Ord ult. That's scary, but you have flashes to flash the Ord ult. They don't have Kai'Sa ult. They don't have Nautilus ult. They don't have Zyra ult. Like, these are times where I'm expecting the team to play it. When you have an 9k gold lead, the way this kind of works at LPL LCK is G2 in this situation would go to the Baron and they would try to do it. And then the LPL LCK team on the other side would just 3v5 them. And the game would just be over. Like, they would just win the 3v5 here. Or they would give themselves a reasonable 3v5. And then if they, like, threw that, then maybe you see, like, the whole game snowball. But they would at least give themselves a chance. Like, what the is this, bro? Like, what the is this? And what does that turn into from here? Then it's like, oh, just give. Nice, man. Nice. This is such, like, a... Like, you would TP the Renekton early. Like, you would do something to put some resistance in the game. I feel like G2 just doesn't meet the resistance. So then when they play against a team like BLG, they make mistakes. They make mistakes in the fucking Baron turn because they're actually playing a situation that they normally don't play. Like, here's the Baron situation. Now, I think that people have different takes here about what to do. Like, I think that actually BLG's contest is super fake here. So my read on this and what I think you should do is I think that this is a situation where you try to finish the Baron. You play in the back of the Baron because you have Taric. I think Taric changes the situation because you can perma heal. Like, you stand behind the Baron, you stand here, you have Kalista hitting. Like, you get the Baron down to 5k. Think about this. You get the Baron down to 5k. Like, look at how much damage they do to Baron at this point in the game. But the point is not even like what the optimal call is. It's just that if you start playing these situations more and more, if teams are actually contesting you in these situations and you had more experience in this situation, you would actually just get a better result because you would know how to play. Like, I think that in a situation where you have Ryze, Kalista, you have like guaranteed smite, enemy jungler's not there. They have Rel without ult, Rumble no ult, Sylas here. Like, even though the Rumble is really strong, like, he has cooldowns, right? Like, his shit is on cooldown right now. Boom. Like, look at how fast they drop the Baron, by the way. Look at how fast they're dropping the Baron. I mean, you're 100% just finishing this Baron. I don't even think it's an argument, to be honest. I don't even think that this is like a hard situation to play out, but it's like they just don't see the resistance. Look at how much damage Ryze is doing to the Baron, bro. Like, when Ryze is on the Baron, look at Ryze damage on Baron. Time he hits it. QE, 700, and then they're trying to turn. But what if Yike just stands here and ults and everyone else is just hitting the Baron? Rumble, still, at this point, the Baron would be almost dead. At this point, the Baron would probably be dead, and they still don't have Rumble ult. And then people just try to get over the wall. How many people can live? You know, who knows? Ryze doesn't have ult to get out. So, I mean, some people might die, but as long as you secure the Baron here, I think you're completely fine with the game state. If you get the Baron, and like Han Sama is not going to die here, Caps probably shouldn't die either. Like, Yike is probably going to die 100%. Mickey has flash. He'll probably find a way to die 100%. It's Mickey X, so he'll die too. But like, if you get 3 Barons and you keep it on, primarily just you keep it on Ryze and Kalista, everything changes. But instead you just have this awful turn because you don't actually understand the situation because you're never in that situation. Because in the LEC, when you get this Baron and they 3v5 contest, Razork just runs it down and then you just get a free Baron, you know? Like, I don't know. It is what it is. Cap say they thought Rumble had no TP. Yeah, he said that they thought Rumble had no TP. But even when Rumble TP's in, it's like, okay, you just fought. You know he has no ults, right? You know he has no ult, which is big. Renekton has no ult either. So you realize that he has no ult here. And as a result, like, he's not that powerful. Like, a Rumble on these items is not going to just completely 1v5 your team. Especially when you have a Taric who's perma-healing. Like, they actually are just... They are just one-shotting the Baron, bro. Look at how long it takes them. Okay, so they start the Baron. They don't even have Hans and Caps on. Okay, so once Caps and Hans get on it, it's 24-17. Right? See how long it takes them to get to 5k. Okay, so it's at like 5. So they've done 10k damage to it in less than 10 seconds. So that means it's like 4 or 5 seconds away. And plus, obviously, you have burst at the end because you have Smite and Rend. Actually, does Yike have Smite? It looks like he does, right? I can't tell because the overlay is so dog shit. Even if he doesn't have Smite, like, they have no abilities to steal it from the Rend. But yeah, I mean, if Hans just didn't end up getting hit by the Silasy, they probably win the game anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's just way more resistance, bro. There's just way more resistance when you play internationally.